Hey Bronwyn, how are you?
Hi Wendy, lovely to be here. I'm really excited to have a chat today. I'm
Yeah,
doing
you
really well.
yeah, you're looking amazing. You like look really, really hot.
Oh, thank you. You're glowing as well.
Oh, thank you. You look fantastic, honestly. I didn't know what to expect, but it's a joy to see you in this way.
Thank you, and the same with you. It's been such a long journey. It was for me almost a year, I think, from start to finish, because I had a few extra little challenges along the way.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of myself.
Good. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you being proud of yourself because it's we can all beat ourselves up so much, can't we? And actually to allow ourselves a little bit of sort of validation and recognition of all the that determination, that one track mind, that keeping going no matter what.
Definitely. I came into the program with the EndoBoss 21-day challenge, which had so many symptoms then, and just such a lot of hypervigilance too, because of the way the medical system is and stuff that hasn't worked. And so there was a little bit of that underlying, yeah, the hypervigilance, that stress that creates these changes in our body on top of everything else that we're dealing with. So the increased heart rate, our sudden blood pressure drops, these kind of things. And to have come from that and to have processed a lot of not just the emotional side of which is so important of this, but also the 5 Ps. It feels amazing, and now to find my mindset change to thinking in terms of the 5 Ps and what thing would that be, and oh, that's really important because and having the still time to still come back when I'm starting to feel really stressed or really um, I guess, concerned with still the way the medical system works. And I remind myself, come back into yourself and find your inner peace and keep the faith and slow is fast. And I had to keep reminding myself of that for so much during the challenge and ongoing and still now and still ongoing now. But I'm so excited to report that my pelvic cavity has so much less inflammation and my periods are just so light and almost non-existent now, and it was so
Wow.
hard to think I would get there. And I'm just thankful that you kept reminding me, I believe in you, you will do your testimony video one day, I know you will get there. I just remember feeling so frustrated and the
I
stress of,
know.
I guess, the hypervigilance of the past when people had tried to help me in the medical model
Yeah.
and I guess even just psychology on its own without your program. I guess that there was a lot of that hypervigilance and those triggers to think, oh, here I am again. I'm still trying. I'm
Yeah.
still plugging away. I'm still not giving up. And I love journaling. I've loved the journaling all through the program, and even now I love to be able to parent myself as you taught us, and be that soft parent voice that's encouraging, that also knows what feels right and knows what to follow.
Yeah. Wow. What can I say? But wow. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And even hearing you talk and like about the 5 Ps and slow is fast and parenting yourself and journaling and even as you're talking, I honestly, Roman, the growth, I'm so proud of you. I wish I could give you a big hug because I know how ill you were and I know how hard it was, and I know, and it's interesting hearing you say that you felt so sort of triggered by the medical profession because when you come into this program, like nobody wants to stay well. Nobody wants to stay in pain. Everybody's wanting to get well, and they put so much trust into other people and other processes, and it's just not worked for the endometriosis body. And then you come into this program, and of course it does take time, and we're all so impatient, aren't we? But I mean, you're a testament to the fact. You're a glowing example of never giving up and just keep following the processes and the protocols and the 3 daily basics and remembering the 5 Ps, because if we can keep it simple, we then default back to that when we do get upset or triggered or disturbed or overwhelmed by something. So that's so incredible. So
I do
incredible.
find myself so overwhelmed at times because a big thing for me was that I felt like I was doing all the right things.
Yeah.
Even my parents growing up when I was 14, when all this started for me, felt like they were doing the wrong thing. Taking me physically to the doctor, going to the naturopath, getting herbs in alcohol, changing the diet slightly. I always had problems with food sensitivity, so I was always very, very sensitive little girl. Had overuse of antibiotics because of a lot of inner ear, ear, nose and throat type infections that antibiotics wasn't really fixing me and thought it was, so my mum would continue that. So very sensitive little baby, very sensitive little girl. Parents that ended up very frustrated, not knowing what to do. It affected their trust in the medical model. And then a frustrated family unit where I guess why I loved your program so much was the support because people try around me, family, extended family, really, really try to understand and try to be there. But I guess there is still that underlying frustration where they want to see me well, and I see that I'm very compassionate towards trying to understand them. But yeah, it affected every area of my life. It affected work because I had to completely stop. I tried to understand it. I went and studied myself in psychology and in nursing and in my honours. I had to stop halfway through my honours because I was trying to keep pushing. I was trying to keep doing what I thought was right. And I knew there was a diet connection ever since I was younger for me. My parents sort of believed a lot of these naturopaths that were saying, well, you still need to have a little bit of dairy, you still need to have a little bit of some of these things, so it's not a big reaction if you get a little bit of contamination. But I got really, really stern with them probably about, it might have been about 5 years now, but I just said, no, 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 look, I really, really feel that's error. And started to get quite a lot firm with them. And the product, the produce with the food, I was aware of both of them, but not to the degree that you explained it to us. I found that you had a really good way of bringing truth and light to a situation where you were explaining it to us um, in a way that was very, very helpful and very, very positive. It wasn't fear-mongering or anything like that. And I could see and I could feel the truth in your words. You spoke about the laundry pattern and lavender and little things like this. I thought, yes, yes, I've been trying to tell my family that, if not for 22 years, because that's how long it's been my endometriosis journey, because I'm 36 now. But even just most recently when I felt things were getting a lot worse over the last couple of years. And even I thought I did the right thing when I said to my parents, oh, look, this doesn't progress. In the last couple of years, we realised, well, this is endometriosis. And this appears that this could get a lot worse from what the organisation's websites are saying. This could be on your lungs, on your brain. I'm reading all these things and going, oh, well, I need to have the surgery then. I need to have the proper surgery. I need to have it cut out. And this would be my first surgery. And Mum's saying, well, we really don't want you to have the surgery because even as a child, I was told I needed my tonsils out. And my mum decided to go naturopathic route and help me with all these zinc and things like this and didn't end up having to have my tonsils out. So for me to have endo surgery, the family really wasn't hopeful that that would work to begin with. But I guess the fear and not knowing where the endo was, and I took that step and thought I was doing the right thing. And integrative medicine doctors, functional medicine, tried to tell me, they tried to say, oh, no, 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 I feel you don't need to go to that. But yeah, now I look back and I think maybe we should have trusted our hunches, but then that alone wouldn't have, it didn't solve it. Having the best surgeon in the state didn't, and but that alone wouldn't have in my situation, and it didn't. And I just know that it's. I don't want to have to ever have to have another surgery again. I don't feel like I will have to following this program because of what I'm seeing and the evidence that I'm seeing. We really did, as a family, do everything, and that surgery was so expensive, even with private health insurance. My dad ended up paying the rest of it. It was another $2,000 out of pocket, and just shocked now, and wish that I didn't go that far. But I suppose panic sets in. I think even like the coronavirus stuff that's going on now, the panic sets in for some people where something like that when it's about your health and you're so unwell, you think, oh well, this is the solution. This is what the medical model is showing me, and well, I know I love to do things naturally, and while I am trying, and I am got pieces of the puzzle, and at that time I didn't know it was just pieces.
Yeah.
And then when the surgery didn't work, oh, your heart just sinks because it's again you trusted in another professional. Look, this lady is so compassionate, more of my age group. Really was saying, I'm sorry you had to go through that with other doctors saying what they said to you, these elderly male doctors.
Yeah.
Sorry that you had to end up at various specialties and they're trying to treat you and you're just getting more side effects and things. I thought, oh, this is the lady that's going to fix me, this is the lady that's going to heal me, and I felt so good about that. But yeah, and then just have that shock of why am I getting better? And then really my family, my mum's Catholic, so I was always taught to sort of come back into my own and pray about it, because I used to just get so teary and drained from all the trying to get through life. Whereas I was always having to go lie down again, and not just lie down, but keep my stomach warm, so under the covers, and curl up into a fetal position. And to realise now that all that time has gone by, and 22 years is a very, very long time, and I feel like I've lost a lot of life, even though I did always try to study, at least try to study something little, even if it was just a little certificate or study part-time casual research assistant work at one point. I was always trying, no matter how sick I wasn't giving up, and I feel like I have a lot of life to live now, and I'm excited for that because definitely areas in my life where I need to live, such as work, eventually partner, having a house of my own is always something that it's always on my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a full circle. It's definitely a long way to come, a long journey. But you always told me it's hard, but I always think it's so hard because I have these moments where everyone would be eating a certain thing, and they'd be sort of putting pressure on me. Oh, you can have some of this, even if it's dairy free, they would say, and I would think, oh, but what else? It's gluten and it's this and it's that, and is it really sugar free? And I would get so frustrated. I didn't have all the pieces there yet, and so when I would just get so upset, and then I ended up finding myself for a second time because I had looked and seen your book the first time on the book depository.
Yeah.
And I think it was actually before surgery. So I feel like maybe something in me was trying to tell me, or something higher above was trying to tell me that, trust that integrative doctor who said maybe you don't have to have surgery, maybe there's another way. But I mean, even when I went down with integrative medicine, functional doctor, the progesterone dose was up far too high, and it was coming down a pathway where it was still, I felt like things weren't understood, something wasn't quite balancing there, and I still was getting second opinions of another integrative doctor, and then things get a bit murky there because pharmacies get involved and they want to check everything with assistant. I felt, oh no, it makes you feel like almost like I'm doing the wrong thing because I was having to double check up on them.
Yeah.
It sounds horrible now to think of it, but that's how much endometriosis and treating it naturally here, where I was trying to do that and spend so much money on DNA health and everything, I was getting so far. I was getting to a point where I knew I felt close, and yeah, I felt the surgery was going to get me where I needed to be. But in a way, I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I wouldn't want to be having repeat surgery
No.
I see these girls having surgery like once a year. And I just think you don't have to. There's a better way. They just don't know, and they haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
And even though it's sad to think of myself in a room all curled up and teary and just drained from it all, and having to go to one appointment, which would be like a psychology or something, where I almost felt like I was having to train them and teach them this is going on out there in the world. And I felt like giving my essence and my life force to their dream of living their dream, but I wasn't living my dream, is what I remember I kept thinking.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of that reason, I'm glad I am where I am today, because it took a lot of hard work. It took a lot of feeling my feelings. It took a lot of sitting in silence, doing the meditation, sitting with the journal. And I'm so glad I had that EndoBoss foundation, because there was so much more than that.
Yeah.
It helped me realize that I had been through a lot of trauma with medical professions, friends, lost friends, people that I felt like almost like in their comments were like working against me, like just downplaying or downputting what I was going through, including the medical profession. This gaslighting, it felt like it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like you just can't breathe. It's like, how can you live? How can you have faith in yourself, belief in yourself? So you're this little divine light who wants to shine, but you're stuck. It's always that feeling of stuck. And then 22 years sounds like a long time to be praying about something. And I was also at the verge of just, wow, how? Because questioning religion, questioning how could this, how could, good God, let me be so abusing with the emotional torment of, what's been said to me and done to me to so-called friends and these medical professionals that are getting it wrong and are really creating a lot of this hypervigilance and, and then it all comes down to, oh, stop stressing. They'll say to you, stop stressing. Just stop stressing. That's the answer. And if that was the answer, stop stressing. I would have been through it a long time ago. It would have been that first year when my parents had to have me out of school after grade 10. We got up to grade 12 and then we go to university here. And after grade 10, I had a year and a half off school because I was just that unwell. So there's just things that medical communities were missing. And I really appreciate what you've done because I feel like not only have you been through what I've been through, but you get it, you bring all the pieces of the puzzle together because you've been through it and you've trusted yourself. I was trying to trust myself all the way through it and trying to ask for the support of people around me. It's just little things like washing powder and things. So I think their fears that kind of got in the way a little bit as well. I suppose just life in general because I just think a lot of people these days are under pressure, like my parents under pressure with building up superannuation and wanting to retire, and my sister and brother have got their own pressures going on, and it's sort of like feel a little bit forgotten about sometimes, even friends, it's busy, life is busy. So that's where it's nice to connect with people that are going through it and have been through it, and because you have been through it. And I really, really appreciated that because it's so hard, even when I had to go interstate with my mum, because I know she really, really wanted me to go with her and with her, my dad. But I really didn't want to. I was like, oh, but I really want to stay focused on what I'm doing and I really, really want at least to this diet. And there's going to be temptations up there and I'm going to have to pack all this. And I'm going to do it, but if I have to go and pack all this, so I'm going to do my whole routine. And if I have to go up there, I'm going to make sure I go straight to the health food shop and, it has to be followed. And there was a few little hiccups because there was things in foods that I'd eaten and gone, oh, that I didn't feel good, and I was actually in bed a lot earlier than everybody else most nights. So that was towards the end. That was in my advanced program, and that probably gave me quite a big, challenge because it was like, oh, things are a bit stiff at the moment. I have to bring myself back to me and make sure I'm catching up on my journaling, make sure I journal all this out and make sure I feel centered again. And I had a few other challenges that others didn't have. The sulfur intolerance, which was just awful because then I had to say, okay, I've got to stop certain supplements. I have to stop for now. This one has to be put aside, and let me just see if I can heal this. I don't know how long it'll be, but it could be 3 months, could be 4 months, and then slowly bring these in again was always the intention. And I was so happy when I could finally bring them back in again because there's that fear of maybe I actually can't have that, and maybe this is a new food sensitivity that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life that somehow I've developed. And I was having to deal with a lot of fears coming out, and I think it's that hypervigilance. I think and not only in me, but I think it does create it sometimes in certain family members that were there along the way, taking you to all the doctors and hearing what you were having to hear that wasn't very nice. I do see it in a particular family member that because I was a lot worried about, and in myself at times. But if I said to them journal, or if I said to them do any form of, Wendy's program, I don't know that they would be ready to hear that yet.
No.
But I was ready for it. I was there and I was ready, and I was I feel like I was putting 110% into it because I don't know, there was just something. I suppose I was now thinking. I was trusting my inner gut with that, and just so proud because not only the sulfur intolerance, but I was trying to shrink a gallstone at the same time when people were telling me in the medical field, you can't do that. You're not going to shrink a gallstone. No one's ever shrunk a gallstone. And I thought to myself, well, I don't care. I have Wendy's books doing this and I'm reducing my inflammation and it's going to help. I know it's going to help a bit because we were talking about everything's all connected. And then I had this Sandra Cabot book about how to save your gallbladder naturally. And I've gone, well, these are my books. These are my people. And I did have an ultrasound a few months later, and I did actually get a little bit off the gallstone. So I
Amazing.
started so proud of myself because that was the first sort of victory to say, well, you're reducing inflammation in your body and you're doing all the right things and taking a little bit extra time. I mean, some people just like, no, go get your gallbladder out, go remove the whole organ. And because you can't just remove the stone.
Yeah.
So I know sometimes people with endometriosis can have other areas that are sluggish as well, like a sluggish gallbladder. I spent a long time trying to find answers in groups and things, but in the end, I realized I had to come down into me, into my center, and inner peace. From that inner peace, then see where I was propelled to Google or type or what website I feel drawn to, or I guess live with purpose is what happened there. And gallbladder has been a little bit challenging too, and that's sometimes why I thought, oh no, I feel so behind everybody else because not only do I have the pelvic inflammation, but I have this organ, my gallbladder, that's not happy, and I have some neurological fatigue that I'm not quite sure what's going on there, and if it's a separate issue, but but I really, really would get quite down on myself, and that's where I really appreciated what you were saying, and I had to fight that in that journaling, that aspect of me where because people had for so long said a lot of negativity, those voices were trying to creep in, and that's where the journaling helped a lot. Yeah, I'm just so amazed at the tools that I've got there, because it's for life now. Like you said, we can go on and we can teach this to our offspring, our children, or our partners if they're, if anything comes up for them that's inflammatory. And even though this is a program for endometriosis and reducing that inflammation, all our bodies are all connected, and I feel like if I get to a point with all this, which I have, that it's like I can't stop. I've got to keep going.
Yeah. Well, wow, Bronwyn, it's so lovely. It's giving me goosebumps hearing you and I think my next question has to, well, firstly, I want to say again how proud I am of you. And your EndoBoss medal is boxed and waiting to come to you, but I'm not going to send them at the moment with the way that the world is, because they might get lost. And I was saying to some EndoBosses that are coming through the EndoBoss coach training, it just started this week, that my aim is to have live events where I present these things to you on stage, and you can actually come up on stage and share your story. But you are an EndoBoss. You are the prime example of being a boss of your body and boss of your endometriosis. And as you were speaking, I was feeling the goosebumps all over my skin, because I think, and what I would love for you to share more of is, what exactly were you like when you reached out to me? And then afterwards, I'm going to ask you, what are you like now? Because I think what I've been trying to express in my podcast and YouTube channel and things for people is just how ill women are when they start out, because it's something I know I've got ladies coming through my programs at the moment, and they're going to be so happy to hear what you're saying, because they, you've been there, and I think they think they're going to be the only ones that it's not going to work for. So would you just give us a little bit more about your physical symptoms and your mental state of mind when you reached out to me?
Definitely. I can totally understand all of that. When I reached out to you, well, I would say a very, very deep depression going on behind things, even though I put up a really smiley face. So I was always taught that. Everything's fine, everything's okay. So smiley face, and push, 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 even if you've got chronic fatigue, still push, do what you can. And I feel like when I came to you, I'd gone and tried to study. I did my 3 years in psychology, my BA in psychology, did my BN in nursing. I got all these qualifications, and research certificates and things, and tried to do honors. I tried to. Out of desperation, I was trying to find the answers myself. I thought it was just about being positive. My parents had told me when I was younger, you just be positive. And then I knew very quickly that it wasn't just about being positive, but it's sort of all, at that time, all people, I feel like all the world wanted to hear is just that if you end up with something that medicine doesn't know how to help you, then it's just be positive, maybe have some counselling, maybe psychology is the answer. So it was that where you're sort of putting that box of that's what medicine's done to you, that's where you are. And I think I got thrown around a lot because I was told chronic fatigue syndrome and not really asked about my cycles, and then sort of this pain sensitivity syndrome and fibromyalgia, all these terms that we can't prove on blood tests. Was thrown around at me, and the intelligent side of us is saying, well, we can't really prove these on blood tests, but the other side is saying to me, well, I have no choice, because how else do I explain to the natural health world, or even to medicine, what I'm going through? And thrown around just a lot, because you end up going to doctors, you end up trying everything naturally when I was younger, and then going, that was when I was 14, 15, 16, 17, and then going back to medicine when I was 25 because things are not good, and then trying to hold down a full-time job, which I couldn't because of the stress of it, and that would have been having a big effect on all this too. And then having trauma from having to leave jobs or getting bullied out of jobs because bosses know something's not right, and bosses are trying to communicate not very effectively, and that whole mess side of it really put a lot of trauma into me at the age of 25, because I really pushed and I really tried, and I really just was like, oh, you can't talk about your period, so it was sort of all hush hush, and I felt like I couldn't speak about it, and from friends too that I thought were friends, and this trauma there. And so I really, when I found you, I'd come back to live with my parents because I'd gone into state to sort of get some distance from my parents, because I thought, I couldn't really speak about my health, and it was sort of just be positive. So I was just really trying to be an achieving kind of person with a little bit of study, and maybe some days where I felt sort of, maybe not 100%, but maybe 50%, and things like that. So I was trying to push ahead and ended up back with my parents because just the trauma of this world that just didn't understand. And it was heartbreaking. It was like, what's wrong with me? It must be me. Self-blaming and stuff. I mean, I didn't want to have to be, because I studied psychology, I always knew, well, that's not the way we want you to do it. Well, we don't want you to blame yourself. We don't want you, I knew all this stuff in my heart of hearts, but it does a little bit, it really, really drains you. The world drains. I felt drained by the world. I felt discarded. I almost felt like maybe too much resources would have to go into trying to fix me, that could, the world didn't want to, or the world didn't think I was worthy of it, or things like this. So I started to feel unworthy, and so really someone who'd been so traumatized by just so much, and there were people there that tried to help me, psychologists and things, but I mean, I could even feel the skepticism in their eyes that maybe they thought this was some kind of, with the migraine situation, that maybe there was some kind of, I don't know, paranoia or something, because I mean, I can't see with bright lights and things, so I was saying, I might be infected this way and I've been infected that way, and I just don't know, I just felt a little bit off with certain appointments, and I would still persevere, I'd still go back, because I'm a very genuine person, have very genuine stories, and very intelligent, so I could talk about the latest research and what I've read here and what I've read there, and didn't get put off by any of this, and didn't let those thoughts get into my unconscious or subconscious. But I don't know, it does have a very wearing effect, and the weight gain too, because not being able to have the exercise to diet and live a normal life, and the social interaction, just really missing it. So then, like, almost my whole life I hadn't really had much of a social interaction, because I was always a very sensitive girl with food sensitivity, sharing, and chemicals, and the inner ear, the ear, nose and throat stuff was always big for me growing up. So I felt like,
so what were you like physically as well? Because I mean, even just you relaying the emotional trauma of trying to get a diagnosis, trying to get understood, trying to get someone to help you. I think your story's so common, and thank you for sharing even that, because I know it's very vulnerable for you to do so, and it's an emotional thing, isn't it, to go back and think just how desolate and despairing and depressing it was during those times. But again, what is so common is this fantastic drive and determination of just never giving up, like this strong spirit that resides within you, deep within you, that's never going to give up. You're trying to make sense, you're trying to get answers. So full credit to you in that regard. But yes, it's the emotional component is, that's a very big part, because most people don't recognize when there's not a blood test for this, or there's not a understanding. Women go through surgery to be told sometimes you don't have it, you know, so that a lot of women are left with no diagnosis and no explanation. But so emotionally, obviously you were wrung out, you were exhausted, you were drained, but you were continuing to keep going no matter what, which is again full of admiration for you in that regard. And that's why you're getting a medal. That's why you're an EndoBoss. Honestly, I'm so bursting to send these medals out. And I want you to wear it and with pride, and take a photo and post it and be proud of all that effort. You literally, you won the war and you won the battle. But how were you physically as well? Because you touched earlier how you were in bed and you had a hot water bottle. Can you go through all your physical symptoms then when you applied to work with me?
Yeah, my physical symptoms was daily. I had dragging through the intestines with food, and even what I thought was anti-inflammatory foods, and what I thought I was doing the right thing with. So that was a lot of pelvic, like even just colon spasms on the left, that was very pronounced in me. Yeah, those intestine movements, I got horrible. Some stabbing, random stabbing, sort of around the right ovary area, and also above under the breast, and that sort of area. So again, related to digestion and gallbladder for me, sluggish gallbladder, and constantly going back to bed, constantly heavy-headed feeling, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome was said to me. So this autonomy where I would stand up and my head would get really heavy. I have to sit down again, or have lots of salt in my diet. So that, and then when I would bleed, very, very, to me it felt heavy bleeding, but I mean, when I went to a doctor maybe 5 years ago, no, you're not a heavy bleeder. But for me, it's heavy bleeding, considering what I have now. And for me, definitely clots there, and black blood, which is the colour. Now I know that's wasn't a healthy colour for me. But I didn't know, no one talked about these things. So that's where I've definitely come from. A lot of ocular migraine stuff, a lot of inner eyeball type pains. I used to think, oh, maybe I'm low in iron, or I used to really try and help myself with these little things. But it wasn't as simple as that. It was more, it was a bigger thing than just one thing. It comes from that, and chemical sensitivities, and lots, and getting worse. That was just.
I mean, your quality, you didn't have a quality of life. You were totally bedridden, weren't you, for quite some period of time, and had zero quality of life, no interaction, isolation, housebound, bedbound, chemical sensitivities, pain, cramps, abdominal pain. I mean, you're literally, your whole body was screaming out in pain and suffering, wasn't it? And again, I'm trying to make not more of this, I'm trying to express to people, because I think, again, part of our stoic nature is to go, yeah, it was pretty bad, but look, hey, we're better now. And not actually say, look, if people are listening to this right now and you are suffering from this myriad of symptoms and pain and suffering and unexplained cramping and everything's all connected. But it's sometimes so hard, because there's so many different elements we're looking at, which is why the EndoBoss Academy and the Foundation Advanced programs are so good, because we're slowly, surely working through the 5 Ps all the time to try and identify with our magnifying glass. I actually have this great magnifying glass now as my prop, to really get down to see what is causing that pain, because your body's trying to communicate to you. So let's let's talk about where you're at now. Let's say, like, so physically, I mean, you're glowing, which is amazing, and I haven't seen you for a couple of months now. And you know, what has changed for you? How, what would you say to someone, you know, how would you explain how your body is now to somebody if they're listening to this, from where you've come from?
I would say that my endometriosis is in remission. I would say
Yay!
that, yeah, yeah, and wow, and yay, and so, and
How do you know it's in
I,
remission? How do you know it's in remission? Apart from, like, Elliot, clearly you're glowing, you have that confidence, you have that connection to your body now, you know it, you just instinctively know it. How would you explain that to someone listening?
I would say that when I started this part of the program, each step that I put in a new supplement or a new the cream or the next step, I would take such close attention because I had the journaling foundations there that I was like, I feel my ocular migraine is not as bad as it normally is. I'm getting less migraine with aura attacks that are just terrific, and I'm getting less of those. And I can now have your bath and not stand up and get a migraine with aura attack, and I can now have my bleeding, which is very little, very often, or hardly noticeable. And I think I haven't really touched my hot pack in such a long time. It was almost like a regular thing, especially in winter. It was just constantly every day heating it up, and especially with that intestine pain. Yeah, it's practically a daily thing. And then buying the stick-on ones for when I'd have to try and leave the house to try to go to an appointment or go on car trips or things like that. It was always coming with me, and it's been a long time where I haven't heated it up and I haven't had to have one anything around my stomach, lower abdo area with the stick on or anything like that. I haven't had to invest in any more of that, which is amazing for me. Um,
And does that feel weird to kind of say, I know it's in remission. B, I hardly touch, I hardly go anywhere near my hot pack anymore, and I hardly even notice my period. Did you ever think that those words would be coming out your mouth? Because I know there were times that you were saying to me, maybe I'm going to be the one it doesn't work for. And I was like,
I
don't
was
you
getting
ever give up. Because I knew it was just everyone's where they're meant to be. And sometimes it's these different elements, emotional and spiritual and physical and psychological, that we need to, we are complex beings. At the same time, we're very simple beings. And you know, there was a number of different things, you had a number of different things that you had to work through. But did you ever think that you'd be on here today, you know, saying, I barely even notice my period anymore?
I was getting so scared. That hypervigilance was coming in with that stress of, maybe it's me, maybe I'm too sensitive to everything. Maybe, oh no, my body's giving me another sensitivity. And then I was like, oh no, I can't, how can I cope with this? To bring myself back into me and have to just check the 5Ps and really, really practice what I'm learning here and practice what I'm being taught and really, really don't give up. And it was really that climb, because it was really like, take a few steps forward and then something could come along and it's like, oh no, I feel like I've been pushed 3 steps back. And I was like, oh no, I feel and then I guess all those where I start to feel burdensome, like I'm being troublesome or being, oh, why me, and all this stuff starts to come in. I have to challenge that again through the writing, and then soon coming back to yourself and the group, and checking in and just saying, oh, it feels like too much. It felt like, it was definitely times where it felt like too much, and for some reason it was just my body and the way my body was perhaps getting rid of toxins and realigning to the new way and the new me, and purging a lot of stuff from the past too. I mean, the people on Facebook that I've had to distance myself from, and it's a heartbreaking thing. I don't want to have to be doing that. And I was just such a giver, like you said, the personality of an endo boss, just such a giver, and I'd just give my last whatever I had, I would give it to someone, and I still find that hard, but I've had to bring myself back to, okay, but have I followed my routine today? Have I done what I needed to do first? Because otherwise it gets to the end of the day and it's like, oh no, but have you done everything? And for me, where I am now, I crave the green potato greens. I crave that so much. And I crave things like, one of my favorite things is quinoa. So even if it's quinoa porridge and with the fruit in it as well, I crave a lot of these things now, which it's just fantastic because I'm excited to go for my grocery shops because I know that I'll be collecting these certain items that I just love and crave, and
Amazing.
I really enjoy preparing my food, chopping it all up and having it sit there ready to snack on. And um, the new me. I know it's been harder for some of the other people around me to take on board some of the teachings, like just because, like, I suppose other people's childhood, like my parents, were taught different things, but I had to change because my body was telling me that certain things were inflammatory for me and weren't working for me, and other things that I hadn't discovered yet. I would always remind myself, well, if Wendy says that's what it has to be, with wheat and gluten, then that's what it has to be. So I would always find that even though I thought, oh, I don't feel like I'm reacting to this, I don't feel like it's a problem. But if Wendy says that and she's taught us that, she's shown us all this evidence, and I know now that has to be out. So,
Yeah, and I think as well over time, I think you because everybody goes through the same process. There's the guidance as to avoid it, and then when anytime that any of you've had it, your bodies have really reacted. In fact, somebody said to me, a student at the moment said they had had a tiny little amount, and their body really reacted. But would it be okay if they continued to have it? And I'm like, what do you think your body would say about that? Because this is this, and it's lovely to hear this with you as well. It's like I hear that I was giving you guidance, but equally you were then checking in with yourself. You were feeling into your body, and ultimately the program is a kind of it's not a dictation. It's a direction how to connect with your body and have a whole new relationship with it in a whole new way, so that you can actually hear what it likes and what it doesn't like. And that's very powerful, I think, emotionally, psychologically, and physically, and spiritually, just to kind of feel like you've got this feeling of control, this feeling of connection to yourself. I know it was for me anyway.
yeah. Now when I have wheat or gluten, if I'd had a little bit in something, less ones at all, just a little bit, I'd feel the heaviness, and I'd feel the heaviness for days, and I would just know that my intestines wanted to release that, and so I have been able to definitely proved with my own body, and just I guess being around sometimes it feels stressful the situation I'm around, but I know it's just for now because I'm getting my health on track. And but yeah, I've seen the evidence. I know it works, and I know that when I have the slip ups, that I fall right back, and it's not nice, and it's horrible. And so I think to myself, goodness, like why would anyone want to be in tears with the pain like that? And I mean, I was being told I would have to have Lyrica, or gabapentin, or these anti-seizure drugs to calm those, I guess, those colon spasms, those intestine spasms, those that underlying pathology, I guess. And I didn't want to have to go to that. And I know other people have, and I just think there's a better way, and you can do it without those kind of really strong medications. And that's what I always had in the back of my mind. Well, if this doesn't work for me, then that's what I have to go to. That's what I've been told. And
Yeah.
I'm just so proud that I didn't have to go to that, because I definitely felt the fear a lot of times along the way, where I felt like maybe because I know I was pacing myself with purchasing the supplements and things like that, because feeling the financial overwhelm with the surgery and everything, and just having to really pay. But in a way, I think I was really good because I was able to use one thing and then see how my body felt and test my
Yeah.
body out on that one thing, and then go to the next thing and the next thing. And even now with supplements, reading the ingredients on other foods, but the supplements, and going with that ingredient, there's one study done on that where that was not good for rats, and so stick away from that gin, but this other gin's better. And so even my own supplements, and going through my own, being able to throw away all the supplements. I had boxes and boxes. It's a shoe there I took a photo of, that just overflowing with all these things that I've tried and was putting aside because just so overwhelming. And now to be able to condense it right down, even other little challenges where my body so sensitive to dairy and probiotics and things like that, and having to take a different pathway. I was like, oh no, am I ever going to get there? Is this going to maybe sidetrack me? It felt like another 2 or 3 months just with this one little experiment. But I was like, no, right, you just write it down as the next thing to purchase, the next thing to buy, the next thing to trial, and you just keep going. You just keep research. There's some nights there where I was like researching for certain ingredients that wouldn't have things that would give me hives and things. So I was
Yeah.
having to really, really, really narrow down every little thing And that's where I thought to myself, oh, maybe I'm the sickest one of the whole bunch. Maybe I am the sickest one Wendy's ever had. But I know you kept reassuring me,
Well,
everyone's.
I was just filming my documentary story just the other week there, and I say in it that I've yet to meet someone that was as sick as I was. And I say that not in a competitive way, but in a kind of, if I can come back from being that sick, then I know that this works. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I kept sort of reassuring you on is, hey, look, I was knocking on death's door. I was so ill. So your body will come back. It just takes time. And of course, we're all so impatient, and we all are so self-critical, and we have this strong perfectionist part, and we want to get it right. We want to get it done yesterday. So how would you describe the foundation, the EndoBoss Academy, the foundation and advanced program to people if they're considering applying to work with me? Why would you describe it first, and then I'll come back to the last question.
I find it so important to add so much more knowledge, because without it, I feel like I would have been definitely still stuck in the trauma of, we don't realize it, but a hypervigilance. It's the stress of it all, the triggers that a lot of us don't even realize, that the fact that we've had certain things said to us in the past by whether it's a medical professional, whether it's people around us, or whether it's relationships that didn't work. Is that all of that stuff stays stuck in our subconscious? And the EndoBoss program takes us so far, because I know I did a deep dive with you, and I really appreciate that, talking about patterns. But then just to go further into it, because that alone wasn't enough. I did need to know the extra stuff, the supplements, and then even just the book by itself wouldn't have been enough for me. And I think some people think it's just all about, the natural basis, about changing your diet and maybe changing some products, but that's only two of the P's. So there's more to it than just our produce and our products. And I think sometimes I was tempted to think, oh, is Wendy's program just more of that, more of what my naturopath is saying? But no, it's not. And that's the trap I think a lot of people fall into when they think there's a new endometriosis program, that it's going to be a repetition of maybe those two aspects, and it definitely wasn't. And then I sort of was sometimes falling into the trap of thinking, oh, well, maybe it's more the integrated medicine side of things, and maybe DNA health and methylation pathways, and no, not really, because you've been through endometriosis as bad as, or if not worse, what we're going through, and you've experimented with all this stuff, and you've tested your own body out with all this stuff, and you've gone at a slow pace, or at a pace that you need to go to get the results and to get the answers. And it's a program where, yes, you're saying what works for you, but you're also taking into consideration that some of us are going to be sensitive to certain elements, and are going to have to go slower with certain things, or remove something for now, or come back to it later. But you kept telling me the body is always trying to heal itself, always trying to heal itself. I just kept reminding myself of that, and I kept reminding myself that you did say that you were the sickest. You're the sickest. And I was thinking, oh, but I feel like I'm the sickest. No, Carrie can be the sickest.
I know, it's like, no, but I'm so sick, Wendy. I'm like, I know, honey, but hey, it always like, no one's been as sick as I've been. So that for me was like, if I can come back, then I know every other woman can. But of course, when you start the program, you're just, I have never forgotten, and I'll never will forget ever till the day I die, of how desperate I was for someone to help me. And I think what I have hoped to provide is a really safe, supportive, and secure foundation, a framework in which to help you connect to your body, whilst me being a mentor, me being your supporter, me being your cheerleader, so that you never give up, but constantly like saying, these are my suggestions, but how does your body feel? How do you feel? So it's more of an empowerment process, so that you're not, because when we start this journey, we are lost lambs. We're like, somebody help us, tell us what to do and where to go, because we've tried everything, and it's not through lack of willpower or drive or desire. It's just like, people don't get endometriosis. In fact, my business coach was saying to me last year, oh, you should be getting people out with endometriosis to come in and train them as coaches. And I'm like, no, never in a million years. You have to have walked this walk. and talk this talk and put your condition in remission to fully understand the pain, the suffering, the distress. And this isn't just for a couple of weeks or a couple of months or even a couple of years. And normally it's decades that women have had to suffer on their own in isolation and desperation and depression. So, you know, again, full credit to you for persevering. And I hope that you found, I know you did find the program supportive and encouraging. And it's leading you along a pathway, information, education, inspiration, because ultimately you know your body better than anyone. And no one told us that before. Nobody told us that we knew our body.
Yeah, and I feel like I have more of a voice too, to be able to stand up for what's right with my body. When people around me try to say, well, you can have a little bit of that, or you can, so I guess try to project their beliefs and their licenses and their bodies, energies and thoughts and beliefs onto me, and I'm saying, no, I'm doing this. This is what works for me. This is really important. This is what I need to get well, to stay well. This is what I'm doing in this program now. This is really, really important. And even if I needed to say, no, I can't have, isn't that got dairy in it? No, I'm not having that, So I guess just being a little bit more sterner, where I tried to do that as a child when I was 14, 15, 16, but felt really squashed, really, that people tried to do the right things, but tried to give me a belief of having a little bit of things, and it just, I can't see how that would work, but anyway, we try their way, and it's the old way now, and I really need to let a lot of that stuff go. And there's a lot of this stuff that does come back into my mind occasionally, and that's where the meditation and the journaling and bringing myself back to me comes in, because I think, how can you move forward in the future if your mind is full of all this hurt? That how could this friend do this to me, betray me? How could this relationship have not worked and just been horrible? And how could all that gossip that happened there has been come back to me as so nasty? And how could, so there's all this stuff that I had to, there's layers and layers of just grief upon grief upon grief, and that depression that comes with it, and the hypervigilance, because now it's like, how do you trust a world? How do you trust medicine? How do you trust a potential partner, a potential friend, a potential, I guess, with feeling your family member relationships and things, and certain things have been said. So for me, it was such a big process, and I still feel like it is, because I know doctors do just want to keep a check of this this heavy-headed pressure on statins, with low blood pressure, just to make sure that I'm adding in this salt and doing all this natural stuff again with that. So I'm choosing that way. I'm sort of being able to say, oh well, you've said disabled, but you still think that this may be something, even though the endo is dealt with, there's this other thing here, but I'm doing this. So I'm still searching for the natural way with little things like that. But I mean, inflammation has gone down, so it has affected my whole body. And I know that I'll just keep improving. I just know, I just have so much faith. And
but even hearing you talk, even hearing you talk though, I mean, you talked about hypervigilance and that inability to trust and things like that, because our whole perception of life and ourselves gets smashed to pieces because we put our trust and our faith into a medical machine, which we're not here to bash, because they have their needs when it comes to accident, emergency, and transplants and things. But when it comes to a very complex condition like endometriosis, it's very hard for the medical machine to comprehend all the different layers that affect a woman with endometriosis. But most importantly, what I'm loving hearing is that you really have this calm connectedness to yourself. Like now. You said you found your voice, and this is again something recently in one of my programs. I'm hearing women, they're going, I have a voice now, and they didn't know that it was okay to have a voice. They didn't even know that they had a voice, and even if they had a voice, they didn't know what that voice represented or meant or felt. But I'm hearing from you, you've got this real sense of self. You understand your body now. You've got a relationship with it. So what does the future hold for Bronwyn then now?
I love that I'm enjoying gentle reconditioning exercises. And even if I need to have things where I have more sort of cooling air, because I feel a bit heat intolerant or something like that, I just make sure that I'm looking after myself. I have my water, and for me, it's about adding salt to foods at the moment with this low blood pressure. So I have, I guess it's like carrying a backpack around with a few little bits and pieces in it, and not letting like I have to watch adrenal insufficiency, so not adrenal fatigue, but insufficiency. So having the protein shake, to be able to sip on through the day, and then to be able to make another one, and just little tools in the tool bag, as you said, just so good, because it's so important to get out of the house. It's so important to recondition after deconditioning, because resting in bed so much, so many muscles pull waste away, or become achy, and joints and things like that. So it was so important, because I was having horrible lower back pain and things like that, and it becomes sort of like almost like adding more conditions on top of conditions because of one condition that wasn't picked up. And so for me, I feel more joy-filled to be able to get outside, take some deep breaths, because you taught us with breathing exercises. I just find that so important. I find I really love it, and it really invigorates me. And I did have concerns that, I feel like not enough oxygen is getting to the brain when I do feel this heavy-headed pressure, and my body was sort of giving me these signs of that I needed that more oxygen. So I really appreciated that, and I look forward to that. I look forward to opening up the windows and letting fresh air in. Whereas before, I probably didn't really go to that as much. It was more survival. It was more trying to get 3 meals into me and making those meals as quickly as possible, and then getting back to the warmth of a bed, and then trying to do some kind of activity out of the home, whether it was when I was trying to work or things like that, but I'd be back in bed again. So now it's more, I realised I could do with like the light sensitivity a lot better. Sitting out in our lounge room now, my dad does love to open up the blinds and things, and loves a lot of the sun. And before, I was coming out and just having to close them halfway or something, because I really noticed the light sensitivity and really wasn't managing well with that. And now I've said to Mum, I'm coping a lot better with that now. And Wendy's shown me these lovely blue light blocking glasses, and maybe that's helping too. But even when I'm not wearing them, I still feel like the inflammation in that area has definitely gone down as well. And so I'm really quite amazed that, if this is how far I've come in that year with slowly adding things in. If I do another year of adding everything in, then where could I be then? And
well, we'll be having you back in 12 months anyway to tell us, because this is what I want to keep doing as well, is having you share your success story, but also keep coming back every year, every 12 months, a 12-month update, and tell us and your continued story, and hopefully have you on in our live events, coming on stage as a speaker and inspiring other women, because we need more of us coming through here and sharing that there is another way. So what would you say to anyone considering applying to work with me?
I would say it's so important to work with Wendy, because I tried the natural way with naturopaths. I got so desperate, 22 years, I tried medications. And I had side effects in those medications. Migraine with aura, things like that really you shouldn't have to have, and then I start blaming myself. So then there's all, get a PTS, like a post-traumatic stress, and a hypervigilance from this. And there's just no need to go through that. There's no need to try one more surgery. There's no need to feel stuck. There's no need to feel blocked. There's no need to keep going back to specialists, whether it's anything in the medical model. If you feel you leave an appointment and you feel you don't feel the compassion and you don't feel the empathy, there's no need to feel like you have to keep going back because you don't feel like there's any other way. That when you've tried to say no to specialists, or you've tried to say no to family and friends, and this is what this is, and this is what I'm feeling for this, and you feel like the world's just saying, well, no, you're not right, I'm right, and I've got power and I've got control over you, and this is the way the world works with women's health. And I would say it feels like a bit of a mess out there. And I would say it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be, if something's not working, then step back. I would say bring yourself into yourself with something calming, music, meditation, something that is in the silence, to just think, what can I do here now? And trust. That's something I learned in this program, because it's not just about food, it's not just about product. It's definitely a big part, but there's way more to it than that, and not just about psychology aspect of it, although it's really important. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the three P's that was mentioned a bit on the past. So, I mean, there's a lot more to it, and it's the whole body picture. And you can have compassion. You can have someone like Wendy who has the compassion because they've been there themselves, and not just have the compassion to you, but has known other many women who come through the program that have got there too. And that when it does get tough through a program like yours, that you're sort of there to, I guess, lift a person back up and take them back to what's working for them, and that you listen, that if someone says something's not working for them, or a supplement's not working for them, or something is challenging for them, like the girls where maybe journaling was more challenging or things like that, that you still, it's not forced on someone, it's not said that you have to do this, there's no negative psychology. It's all very positive and very clear that you've been through what we've been through, and that what you do works, and that we're constantly reminded of that. And to not give up, to keep the faith, and it's just powerful words. It's constantly powerful words and constant energy of even just bringing in the girls that had gone through the program, to have their interviews there, and to be reminded if you're feeling down, if you're losing sort of some of the fight, or you feel like you're losing some of your inspiration to keep going with it, to go back to Wendy's interviews with these girls and really hear the truth in their words, and really realize like this has been really bad. This has been your girls in tears. This has been girls not heard. This has been girls saying no to doctors and no to family and no, and trying to say their voice, and actually saying their voice and still getting shut down as women, still getting told, no, this is the way it is, you can be quiet now, and this is what we're doing, and there's a better way. The women can be heard and women can be empowered, and don't lose confidence in yourself, self-esteem in yourself, going back to the wrong practitioners who don't have the compassion. It's a big thing that I think I would take out of all this. That's what I really appreciate so much, because having been through it yourself and you had that compassion all the way through it, even when I'd be really struggling and really feeling like, especially with weight gain too, coming from always being a healthy weight and then getting endometriosis at 14 years old and trying to maintain that weight for maybe 5-6 years, but then just putting on weight from then on, because it just, I think when you're not heard, or you feel not heard, or you feel shut down, then it's sort of like you're going to food, so much like a comfort as well. There's a stress connection there with food, especially hormones and things like that. So, and if you're in bed, you don't feel good, you try to go to food to keep yourself going, because you think, oh, if I just go to this food and push on, go to a coffee or go to this, that, and the other, and I just think what you're showing us is a more nutrition dense, and more looking at the source of the problem and peeling back all those layers. And so many layers. And I find myself so many triggers, thinking, oh, that's what that person said triggered what a horrible doctor said to me, or what a horrible medicine I took, or then I got this side effect, and it must be all my fault. And your mind can run away with you, and just take you down these pathways, and you think, oh, now I feel really lousy. I've got to bring myself back to me, because otherwise, before I know it, I'll be, the hypervigilant state. I'll be using up all these electrolytes that my body needs to heal and to keep healing and to keep me on track. And blood pressure can be affected, heart rate can be affected. I don't need all that. I don't need that drain. And it's hard. It's still challenging. I still feel like I'm going through a lot of healing, and I probably will.
But I think you. I mean, how long were you ill with endometriosis for?
I would say it must have been approximately 22 years.
Okay, so 22 years. Let's just stop there a second. 22 years. Is it any wonder there are layers of upset and depression and layers that almost that grieving process. The grieving process of, I was speaking to someone yesterday who's been through all the programs, and they're saying, I'm still grieving the lost years, the loss of life. And that goes on for a little while. When you start to feel well and you know it's in remission, and you start to then dare to think of, oh, what are the possibilities for me ahead? You can't help but stop and go, oh my goodness, all the lost years. 22 years, Bronwyn, but you never gave up. And look where you are now. So what's the final inspiring words that you would say to someone if they're listening to this podcast now about taking action and you know, taking back power and control and applying to work with me? What inspiring words would you say for them?
I would say something that you told me often that's really stuck in my mind. You would say, Bronwyn, I believe in you. I believe in you. And you would say even 3 times, you were like, I believe in you. You are one of my EndoBosses. You are the first one to go through my EndoBoss program to win. EndoBoss, you did that. And I believe in you. And I know what you're capable of. And for these girls that haven't maybe ever had someone say that to them before, or having partners or family or medical professionals where you're feeling really like your confidence is really dipping right down low, your self-esteem is going down low because you're just feeling stuck, I would say, we believe in you. Me and Wendy, we believe in you. And we're not giving up on you. And if you come into this program, like Wendy told me many, many times, we're not giving up on you. We're not going to leave you behind, you said to me.
Oh, it's almost making me want to cry. It's so emotional. I feel quite emotional you saying that, because there is not a woman that comes through that I do not believe in, because I can see what lies within, what lies beneath. It just needs a little bit of light, and given the right environment, like I use the analogy of a seed. You put a new seed in beautiful, nutritious soil and you give it water and light and everything that it needs, it will grow. You try and stop that seed from growing if you give it all the right conditions. And our human spirit, the very fact that women do seek me out and do apply to work with me, that in itself shows the type of character and the determination and passion. And these are the type of women I want to work with. That's why I want to work with women like you, because it's the most humbling, amazing, I don't even call it a job, it's like a vocation for me. I feel like everything I went through was for now. It's for the work that I do now. It doesn't feel like work because it's so incredible. It's such an honor to be part of your journey, such an honor to be part of other women's journey. And that's why this belief is so strong, because I have seen abject transformations. And it's not just the physical. The physical is the bonus. It's the emotional. And you said it earlier, it's not psychological, because again, doctors can be very cruel and insinuate that it's all in your head and you're somehow seeking attention. And I've joked about this many times to doctors in their faces, that you genuinely think when I was a little girl, this was my dream, to be in high levels of pain, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 every day, isolated, a recluse, bedridden, and you thought this was my dream? Do you genuinely think this is what I seek for myself? So when you're talking about the grieving, there's a lot of grieving. There's the grieving process of all the different emotions. And again, is us getting comfortable with our emotions, not having the judgment, keeping the compassion, or developing compassion for ourselves for the first time, which is really powerful as well. But yes, what a lovely way to end and say exactly to those who are listening, we absolutely believe in you. We believe in the power of your body to heal itself. That's what it's always wanting to do. That is a biological and scientific fact. And these programs can show you how to do it, how you can then reconnect with your body to do it. So Bronwyn, thank you so much. It's been such a joy. You've come so far. It gives me goosebumps. I'm so incredibly proud of you and your journey, your determination, your personality, and your character. And I can't wait to have you back in 12 months to hear where you are at and what you're doing, and how, and maybe you can consider becoming an EndoBoss coach and come through the training program. We've got 3 women coming through at the moment for this. So who's to say that, again, your journey hasn't been in vain? So you can maybe help other women come through. But thank you so very much. It's amazing to have you on.
All the way in Australia to find you, all the way out there. But you know, me in Australia and you over there. But I'm just so thankful. Yeah, and it's opened up my eyes to a lot to a lot more, and the faith and the purpose, like what you're saying now, purpose. But we all, and I never ever forgot everything you ever said to me. I always reminded myself of all those things, and I still do. It still helps me, and I'm sure it will. You know, even 5, 10 years later, I'm sure I'll be still remembering these phrases, these things that you said to me, and they're so so powerful. And yeah, I really appreciate it. So thank you so much, and even for your time today, because it just helps reiterate it all in my mind as well, doing this interview for you and for everyone. And I hope it does find, well, it will find the right people, and that's so important. So thank you, Wendy.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it will find people. And you know yourself, you've heard the testimonial videos, and those inspired you, and you will be inspiring people. You'll be moving people into taking action, into empowerment for themselves, because we all know, I mean, 175 million women suffering. That's far too many women suffering needlessly and being caught up in the surgical cycles and the drugs and things like that. They're just having more and more side effects. So thank you so much. This will absolutely, I have no doubt, impact people. We will be putting this together as a video and a podcast to reach out to people. And Bronwyn from Tasmania in Australia, thank you so much. You're such a star.
Thank you, Wendy. Bye.